Here.
Cavalier.
Here.
Kressel.
Here.
Platt.
Here.
Menard.
Here.
Ibma. Here. Jurdy.
Here.
Okay, this is time for the open forum. If anyone would like to address council on any issue that's not on tonight's agenda, may come to the podium, state your first and last name and address, please. Hearing none. Anybody on the phone bridge, Chad?
No one this evening, Your Honor. I will close the bridge.
Thank you.
Agent logged off.
Okay. No presentations, nothing on the approve agenda, so we'll move right to the consent. Ashley.
You have to ask for a motion, Your Honor, a first and a second.
So move.
Sorry. Got it first by Tim,
Second.
second by Henry.
All right, Henry.
Can I have, now we can have roll call. Sorry.
Can I just confirm real quick, the 4,500, were we able to find out and confirm what that check payment was?
What are you talking about?
Or is, had requested to find out what that payment was?
The 4,500 to KROX?
Yeah, is that
Yes.
confirmed?
Yes,
Okay.
that's $4,500 for the advertising package the city has for an entire year during the high school sporting athletic events.
And it's also the streaming as well, so.
Okay, anything else? Roll call, please.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Ibma. Aye. Jurdy.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, no public hearings, regular agenda.
No regular
No
agenda.
regular agenda. Moving right into reports. Corky,
Yes.
Senna.
You want
Confused
me to-
here.
You want me to slow down?
Man. Usually we got all kinds of stuff.
Well, first of all, we've been continuing to meet with department heads on budget discussions. Tonight's the last presentations we have, and then at that point, our finance director, Audrey, and I will be sitting down to compile all of the requests and get some information to you. I had a meeting, as did Audrey, with the Northwest Service Co-op, renewing our insurance, getting further information on that. We'll get final information very quickly. I attended the Development Policy and Review Committee meeting, as did a number of people here, and I think that's going to go very well. We've got some money to loan, and we're setting up policies on when, where, and why. I met with Nick Nicholas, just discussing with the EDA some general overall concepts. We had a safety committee meeting. We meet quarterly. We had a very good report, no incidents whatsoever in the last quarter, so we're very proud of that. I met with Crookston Firefighters Association to continuing our negotiations regarding how they will be financed, and I think we made some really good progress, and I hope to tell you within the next month that's resolved. Also met with Tanner Holton, our city attorney, and discussed with him a number of items, including bringing forward, he and I will work together on bringing a new alcohol ordinance forward as soon as we can, but that will take some time.
In regards to what?
In regards to how we operate and tap brewing for the local establishments, brew taps, those kind of things, which we do not allow in our ordinances now. So we'll be looking at that.
Look forward to it.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Corky. Let's start with Carrie tonight, anything? Thank you. Looks like, Scott, you're filling in for Jake?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you. Greg?
Just a quick note, I have no planning commission meeting next Tuesday, or the 19th of this month.
Okay,
That's all I have.
thank you. Brandon?
I don't have a lot this week, but the water main replacement on Houston Avenue is about halfway done. there to the Holly intersection, and probably by the end of the week, they'll be close to complete. Me and Dave talked a little bit, and we're gonna do the demo and appliance version of the cleanup week a couple weeks earlier than we normally do. So October 9th through the 13th is our cleanup week this year, where we'll grab appliances and demo and everything except for leaf and branch demo, and then we're gonna kind of just watch the fall, and when the leaves drop and when it's the right time to do leaf and branch cleanup, we'll announce it, and we'll make a pass through town to do leaf and branch most likely at the end of October. But that kind of shifts on us every year, so we're gonna kind of play that one by ear. But couches and all the normal cleanup debris will be October 9th through the 13th. So that's all I have this week.
Brandon, could I ask a question? I know you guys had put those, slow down walk signs by, our saviors.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if they got taken down for the winter or what have you, but
Yeah,
people
and-
are zooming through and kids are trying to cross that street to get to school.
Yeah.
Is there any way to get those back up?
Yes, I forgot about those. We'll put them back out.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Brandon. Chad, anything?
Just briefly, Your Honor, I received a report from our managed service partner that we're about 80 to 85% complete with our backup and recovery as a service implementation, which is great for the protection of data within the city. And that also we're closing in on 40% of our phone system upgrade on schedule to be completed this September.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Audrey, anything? Nothing to add. Thank you. Shane?
I haven't been here in a couple meetings, so I figured I better say something. So, I was in Mankato last council meeting. We had EOC preparedness training down there that was very good. It was intense for 2 days. The boys worked hard a couple days ago, got the September 11th display up. That's down at the fire station. Heard a lot of cars honking horns and stuff like that today, so it was appreciated. Just on Thursday, we conducted our AutoX training, so I want to say a special thank you to Jerome Simmons. He figures out a way every year to be able to clear out an area and get us some vehicles so our guys can get some much needed hands-on training. So huge thank you to him for all the vehicles and the use of his yard. Preparing now for our open house and fire prevention week that's coming up. I think we're meeting tomorrow with UMC to finalize some stuff for the homecoming festivities. So we'll have that lined up. And I will be gone Sunday through Wednesday next week for my emergency manager conference in Breezy Point.
All right, thank you. Rich, anything from Witsat?
Just one thing real quick, Brandon filled you in on the Houston Avenue project. Alexander Street, the curb and cutter, or I should say the concrete subcontractor will be here next Monday with a full crew, and they plan on getting it all done next week. So that'll be sidewalk and driveways next week, so.
All right, thanks. Okay, let's start with Morgan tonight, anything?
Nothing on my end.
All right, thank you. Christie?
I was at the same meeting that Corky was at about the IRP, and I thought there was some really good discussion. I feel really good about the people that we have on there and the wealth of knowledge that they have, so I'm excited to see how that moves forward. I met with some university community members just talking a little bit more about the town and gown relationships and how we could better those within the city. And then I plan on going to the Ag Innovation Campus tours. I think it's the farm and the soybean crushing plant and then the opening, so that's it.
Thank you. Henry?
Nothing for me.
Thank you. Clayton?
Just let everybody know school's started, of course, and just watch out for the kids out and about. And make sure that you follow the rules on the stop sign on the school bus, just a reminder. And they do have cameras now, so.
Good.
That's it.
All right, thank you. Don?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you. Joe?
I just want to say the fire hall looks awesome. I drove by it and on the way back or up here, I'm like, wow, it's pretty spectacular. Good job, guys. That's all I have.
Thank you. Dwayne?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Tim?
Same for me.
All is fine in our neighborhood.
All right, thank you. Once again, Shane, fantastic job with 9/11. Also, kudos to what Clayton said. Kids are out running around, so kind of watch for them. It's kind of dark in the morning yet, and it's going to be dark at night sooner than we want, so. Okay, that's all I have. Just a reminder, we do have a Ways and Means tonight, be shortly, so nothing else to come before council. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We've got 3 items on the agenda tonight: the airport budget, administration, legal, election budget discussions, and finance and audit budget discussions. We'll start with the airport. Thanks for being here, Lowell.
Okay. First page there, we have our taxes for next year. Our proposed is 15,672 for next year.
Oh, that's what we've received so
Or that's what we received so far. So our next year is 24,653, which is pretty close to the same. Our revenues, we got a total of 175. It really depends on when we get grants and what part of the season we're in on them and when they actually happen. Our maintenance is a yearly contract we get from like maintenance and operations. And then the FA, the federal grant is particular projects, which changes every year.
Is that number for maintenance, credit or revenue, is that kind of fluctuate, or is that based on something?
That would depend on either projects we've already done or waiting for funds.
Okay. I just see that
That's
it
the
was
same, that's the
50
same
and then
issue with the
61.
taxes too. You're just waiting for those taxes to be paid by the county and sometime in October or so, right?
What happens is we get 2 disbursements.
Okay,
Some people pay their taxes ahead,
yep,
so they're not gonna be split equally. That's why you'll see 15,672.
okay,
That takes into account those who paid ahead,
uh-huh,
and then we'll get a second disbursement.
okay, thank you.
Charges for services, we left that the same. Miscellaneous revenues, the total for the year is 107, 510, which rent for the shop is up a little bit due to a 10% increase. Storage unit has been reduced because we decided not to do boat and camper storage. Farmland that's a 3-year contract, so that's the same as it was for now. I don't know if we're in the end of that or not, but.
Are you reducing the rental, the storage rental, because you're utilizing it for more planes, or how's that working? Why are you reducing it?
We decided not to do.
There are some liability issues there potentially.
Okay.
And for the amount of money that we'll be receiving, the risk benefit didn't make sense to us.
And then our hangar rental was at $50,000 for the year. We increased our rate the year before, so that'd be the same for this year, this next year.
So do we have any opportunity to increase revenues anywhere? I mean, we've looked at, I think we should look at them year to year and.
We
maybe-
increased hangar rent 10% last year, all the T hangars, and then that followed through this year on some other contracts. My own contract for the FBO, which is a maintenance contract. So that hangar increased 10% this last contract negotiation. And then the one with the ag lease for Dan's Flying Service, that increased this 10% also.
Okay.
And we did also, Dan's Flying Service will be paying its utilities now. In the past, it had not.
Oh,
So is that an increase in revenue, decrease in expense? Kind of the same thing.
and then like, so how does the fuel work? We buy it and then we sell it for a margin or something, or?
Nope, that fuel is, my company buys it, my company sells it. The city gets a flowage fee.
Okay.
So many cents a gallon. And then,
So it kind of looks like we don't sell a lot of jet fuel.
you would never see you would see a flowage fee.
Oh,
I don't even know
okay.
why that's kind of an odd item in that list. But the flowage fee goes off of both fuels.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's 10 cents per gallon.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, that's set by
How many gallons we pump a year.
state or,
That's the average that everybody, when you call around to all the airports, that's what they'll be paying.
okay.
Any other questions? What's that? The salaries, they increase as the contract, so they, as you look, they, in the manager's contract, it'll go up every year for 3 years. It's a 3-year contract. So that number will coincide with that. Temporary salaries increased, just due, we can't find anybody to work part-time in the summer anymore at the current rate, so we bumped that rate up.
So how many employees?
1 part-time for the summer is usually what we try to find, if we can find.
Then it's just you?
Yep, or else one of my employees, we do work and we have to bill the city for whether it's snow removal or whatever it is.
Okay, thank you.
What did you bump that hourly rate to?
We were factoring $18 for 2024.
Is that a pretty standard rate for what you're looking for in the job position? Or is that low, or?
Well, it jumped from, what was it, 13?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went from 13 to 18, so we haven't had experience with it yet, but it's been consistent with the city policy to try to get them up to 18.
Yeah, we've done that in other departments as well, right?
I just didn't know if we'd done like a market rate analysis for that position, to what that position would normally pay in this type of market.
It's a temporary, like, when you need them for snow removal, or you
Okay.
need them for mowing, or,
The FICA contributions, that is kind of what it is. Medicare here is the same. Office supplies, we left the same. Laundry, which would be our linen for rugs, stays the same. Or we'll be at 800, actually we reduced that one. Gas and oil, we reduced to 5,000. Janitor supplies, we reduced $300. Miscellaneous supplies, we lowered to 5. Equipment repairs, we stayed the same at 9.
Can I ask about that? Your year-to-date is already 1,780 over that, so is that really a good budgeted amount?
It really, it happened to be some equipment that was in odd stuff for this last year, so it wouldn't be a normal
Purchase?
purchase. And then building maintenance for the next 2, hangar repairs and building repairs, we lowered them. Just, we don't anticipate next year anything big.
So was there pretty big improvements in 21 and 22 that it was at that 12 and 17,000?
We had some repairs done to doors and gone through and those type of things.
Okay.
I think professional fees, we lowered that to 1,000. Expense, we took that off. I don't typically end up going anywhere for really anything, so we just removed that. Legal, we left that in there. Liability insurance. I don't know where we come up with that number. That just must be the way it changes.
Yeah, it seems kind of weird that it fluctuated from 27K to 15 to 26.
Looking at the last year's invoice and this year's invoice, the amount that we have budgeted seems to be pretty consistent with the premiums that we've seen the last 2 years.
So you're expecting it to go down?
I don't expect the liability insurance to go down. I do expect that the,
I'm just saying if we budgeted almost 27 last year.
yeah, and I
expecting it
think,
to go
I
down.
think that last year was over budgeted.
Okay,
And I can explain the 21 amount that you see.
okay.
The workers' comp is down a little bit. Utilities, we lowered that due to,
Dan's flying service,
That
paying their own, we paid them. Plus, we did a 40% markup the year before.
Yep.
And we've seen those costs come down, so we've budgeted less for that.
sanitation, we left that. The runway mowing, we left 16. Nav aid, we removed that. There's really no nav aid out there anymore. Anything we had, which MnDOT took care of mostly, is they quit using it. Snow contract, snow removal, we left that at 65. Subscription and dues, 1,000. We removed the central garage fees for this next year. And real estate falls in line. Building structures, that's just adding for some hangar resheeting in the future. It's actually a few years of, that we're trying to budget together for that, to resheet a building.
So you're adding 50 grand for the next few years
Yeah.
on capital improvements?
CIP,
Yep.
in the CIP.
Okay.
And I believe we actually, I think we ended up having to use some of that was already budgeted this last year for part of the hangar project.
Yes.
So we'll end up adding an extra year of that in the future on the CIP. The other improvements, I think that's on the CIP list.
Can I just reconfirm something? I'm looking at your CIP and it shows that the hangar unit is gonna be at like 1,720,000 and some change.
Yep.
But it's only showing for 24, but then the cost that we're noting in here in the budget's only 36,000. How does that work?
It's a grant.
Is it grant for
We
the
have
rest
a
of it?
grant, and we have already put money away for our portion.
Okay,
So the airport funded version, that's basically the total cost of that project. But the FAA and/or the state is gonna pick up a majority of that dollar amount. So
Okay.
our share is typically in that 5 to 15% range on that whole project. So that's why ours,
So that's what you indicate on the 5-year capital improvement plan local match.
yep,
Yeah, because you got local match and then the next page,
is the airport funded, which is the
and that's
FAA.
MnDOT, FAA or whatever.
Yep,
So they're picking up quite a bit
yep.
compared to our local share.
so our local share is only the 36 then?
Uh,
Or have you guys been putting it away for the last
We've
couple of
been putting
years?
it away, I believe our share is roughly $96,000 approximately, we put some away.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So it just comes to fruition this year then?
Yes.
Okay.
And that is it for that, if there's any other questions.
Wasn't there a, did we fix that already? Was there a credit card issue thing or, it was having when people come up and pay at the pump for fuel, didn't I hear there was an issue?
Wasn't Chad putting a new thing in this upcoming year to make it
Upgrading
easier,
something.
like a new operating system for payment?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the support for the Fuel Master system.
So is how much is that gonna be? Is that on your budget? then?
That's an IT budget.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Lowell.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Lowell.
Okay. See you guys.
All right, moving on.
Okay, you've got the administrative budget, a little bit of explanation. If you look at the first line for salaries, I want you to understand what that entails. For this year, it involved my salary, the clerk's salary, and Tina's salary. During the course of the year, a number of departments have been transferred into the administrative budget. Again, it'll be 90% of the clerk's salary is in administrative. 91% of my salary is in administrative. The HR coordinator salary is in my, now in my budget, and Tina's salary continues. So that's why you'll see that approximately $50,000 difference. Also want you to know that in the salary, I budgeted in $35,000 for an overlap. It's anticipated we'll have a new city administrator sometime next year. And if that person wishes, I will be glad to stay. And that's why I budgeted in $35,000 for that time duration. Maybe less, unlikely to be more. So that's what constitutes that $310,000 coming up from $260,000.
And
So that wouldn't be a professional fee on
No.
your part if you would continue?
We'll leave it in salary
Okay.
as an employee.
Okay.
Just because of the way you pay me, you don't pay
Right.
the social security and
Right.
those kind of things. I mean, we can switch it around, it just, I put it there.
The HR budget is 100% in this one now?
No, the HR budget is, let me just check here. Yes,
It's at 38%.
38% is in mine.
And then Tina is 100% of her salary?
Yes,
And then where is the rest of these salaries then?
they're in their departments.
Department heads.
Well, you
Department-
said 91% of yours is in this, but in this particular line, where's the rest of it?
Between water and wastewater.
Okay.
So,
And then the clerk's, where's her other 10%?
In the finance department.
so some of Corky's salary is in water and wastewater?
Yes.
Yes,
So explain to me why that is. I mean, those are departments, right? So why, I mean,
At this time, those were the percentages that have been used in the past. Corky and I have been discussing those percentages and maybe realigning those to make better sense between the departments.
we've just historically, okay, as much as I hate to say it, that's the way we've always done it. But we are talking, Audrey and I, about a reallocation because they do provide administrative and supervision to various departments.
I was just wondering why just those and none of the others, because the argument could be made.
It could apply to everyone. I don't know, and Audrey, we don't know why it's been there, but for at least continuity for this year, we're just gonna keep it there. Because bottom line, it doesn't matter where you put it, it just,
Right, but I mean,
yeah, it
if
makes.
we're gonna fix it, then I mean, I'm fine with leaving it for this year, but will it be
Yes.
changed, you think, maybe next year?
Yes, yes, it may even change this year after we talk, but we just want to make sure that it makes logical sense for you when that change occurs, because it's been this way for so long.
I mean, I don't understand why your salary has to go to anybody's department. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know why it's been that way.
Huh, interesting.
So where's the rest of the HR's budget go to?
He has 38% in the finance department, and then the other percentages are split between water and wastewater.
So what's the logic in that? I mean, does he spend 35% of his time and
Again, that is,
the way we've always done it?
Yes.
But I mean, so he spends time in each area, so I mean, is there a way to quantify how much time he spends in each area and then,
That would be difficult to really hard and fast quantify. Depends on how many excuse me, how many employees come in and out, where they go, how much time he's spending with, let's say, a firefighter. It's really difficult to quantify it. My suspicion is they just put it into an area where they thought they had excess or money to fund it. But I don't have any data that says that.
So when you said you guys are considering maybe changing it, is that based on whatever the recommendations of the auditor is?
No, the auditor wouldn't make recommendations on that. It would be an internal analysis of where the time is actually spent.
Okay.
The rest of the part there is really all done by Audrey to figure out the FICA, the para, all of those kind of things, life insurance premiums. The next big item would be 0312, the professional fees. That's at $265,000, and last year we budgeted 15. Reason is, we took the city attorney's salary or the budgeted item and moved it into that, under administrative. And last year, I believe that was at $165,000. We just moved it in here, eliminated that separate category and put it under the administrator.
And this would be both for criminal and civil?
Yes,
issues?
entirely, yes.
Can I go back real quick? We have budgeted 2,000 up here for moving expenses.
That's anticipating hiring a new city administrator who might need some assistance, he or she, in coming.
Okay.
I believe when Amy Finch came, it was 1,100. That's just an anticipated item. May or may not actually come to fruition. But for preparing the budget, we thought it was advisable to factor something in.
so, tell me about professional fees again?
Yeah, we moved the city attorney's budgeted line item into this particular, under the administrator.
So
What?
then
From
legal
where?
fees. I mean, so what does legal fees line consist of then?
There is none. It all moved into here.
Oh, I see.
If you look at the notes.
Yeah, the notes, and plus if you look at legal fees, the item itself, I believe last year it was $165,000. Actually, we saved quite a bit of money last year, and then this year we just left it at 165.
Okay.
That's both criminal and civil, and what other processes we might need through that law office. And then you'll also see that we moved the tax assessment billing of $28,000. The county actually charges us a fee for computing and putting out our items on our tax statements we get. That's a fee we pay. Also, ordinances and proceedings, as I indicated earlier this evening, we're looking at a new ordinance for our alcohol. So we budgeted in $7,000 for that. That's a special project. Changing an ordinance that involves alcohol is a big undertaking. And ours are very antiquated. So we budgeted a special for that. Then we budgeted $50,000 for a search firm for the administrator. I'd rather be high than low on that. I don't know what that would cost. And then the $15,000 for allocation for professional services that we might need over and above those that the attorney can provide. Sometimes we have the need for a city firm to advise us on certain matters, and we allocated that. That's why that's such a big difference. But they are coming from other items that we've already had in the past. We didn't create any new items really there.
If we're budgeting 7,000 for, alcohol ordinance, do we need to be budgeting for the ordinance and creating the ordinance for the marijuana and that?
Well, at this point, we may need that, but hopefully we can get it within the ordinance and proceedings budget itself.
Okay.
We're hoping that the advisory task force, the Cannabis Advisory Task Force, one of its charges is to prepare model ordinances for cities who either are going to have private firms selling or those who have municipal cannabis dispensaries. They're supposed to be assisting with that.
So we're not trying to create our.
The other night, Holly had drafted an ordinance right away, and it went through pretty fast. I
Yeah.
wonder.
I thought you guys were working on an ordinance for cannabis.
Well, we are, but we don't have it prepared. Now, maybe Holly's is one that we should look at.
There's a few of them that you can look
Yeah,
at.
there's a bunch of cities that just went and did it. I
And
mean,
then whether that's, I don't know if that's a dispensary or just how it can be sold. We'll have to take a look at that.
yeah, because in the Holly, I think it was Holly, but they had how far from schools, they had all the stuff that
Yep.
pretty, it sounds, and they put a copy of it online when they came out with a press release, and it was,
Yeah, that's I'm gonna suggest that's their zoning ordinances about how far, not who can sell and when, that kind of thing. And whether it's a municipal, but we'll look at that.
I think that goes back, I mean, I think where you can smoke and wherever to use cannabis, just follow our tobacco policy and tweak it from there.
Well, that was
I mean,
suggested in that.
Yeah.
I agree, I mean, it's just,
But we have,
I don't think we need to wait for the state to come up with a mock one to figure out what we want to do. I mean, I think we can figure that out on our own.
and those are the major differences there from last year.
My recollection is that the new admin search last time was about 27,000, is that correct?
I don't know what your recollection is, but I think it'll be higher this time. I think it was 6, 7. I think it'll be higher. But I just wanted to budget it higher.
In my experience, it's a percentage of the annual salary for the position. So just as an example, if the salary is 100,000 and the commission for the work is 30%, then it's 30,000 bucks.
Do you have any questions about the numbers there? One other then is the elections. You'll see that next year is major elections. We have national elections, we have state elections, we have local elections. And all of the workers here, you'll see on line 30104, we budgeted $28,000 for that. A number of reasons. The state is requiring that you have a certain specific number of election judges, and that's up from what we have used. We are also upping our wages. In the past, an election judge got $12 an hour. We anticipated 18, consistent with the city. And then for a chief election judges, $20 an hour. We want to recruit people who want to be there and be paid appropriately. That's why we have that. There could be primaries. There could be then the state, the federal elections as well as local. You'll see on item 0303, we have a item that is $7,500. We are buying additional of those polling stations where you actually vote. We need new replacements. We bought, I believe it was 4 last year or more. We're going to do the same thing this year. And then right below it, you'll see contractual at $92.28. We actually have to rent the voting scanner machines from the county, and that's the cost. The tabulators.
Is that a new thing? Because it doesn't look.
No, it's always been, we've always had to rent them I just don't know where it was put.
In professional services.
Oh, in professional okay. It's been in professional services. We just thought it was more appropriate in contractual, because we have a contract with them to rent. We have a 10-year agreement. So next year is a big year for elections. The budget's up substantially, but those three are the main reasons why.
I mean, I know we don't go back to 2020, but does that, and you might not know it, but do those numbers
I don't
line
know.
up similar to what the last big general election is?
I don't know.
Is that something we can find out?
If you want, sure.
So contractual, 0303, and then you go down to 0570, voter tabulator. Is that sort of taking the place of voter tabulation?
I don't know. It's zeros all the way back.
I know.
Maybe they did it by hand in the past. I don't know. And with Encode, once you got a column, it doesn't take it away. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
Very good, very good.
Audrey?
So it was mentioned that the city clerk's salary dollars were 10% in the finance department. And we thought that that would offset the revenues that are brought in that you see. All those come from the licenses and permits that Ashley puts together. So looking at the salaries line, you see that I have requested an increase. The main reason for my request is to meet the deliverables, such as an audit. Adding staff will redistribute the workloads across the finance department, which can increase productivity, improve our accuracy, and provide the much-needed support that the city of Crookston needs. With that, another line item that I have increased is the professional fees, 0312. I have put in $5,000 to account for a outsource. Right now, we are in discussion with Brady Martz to step in and assist the finance department in catching up because of the turnover, and also assisting us with the audit findings.
One of the things that we anticipate in the audit when it's completed is there will be findings about procedures that we have failed as a city to implement, or have failed, we have them implemented, but we haven't carried them out. So one of the reasons for this item in 0312 is just that, to be able to contact a source, and we have talked to Brady Martz about it, to come in and say, here's a procedure in your audit findings, here's the way we recommend it be done.
So for audit services, I don't see any numbers in previous periods. So did we not, did we look at, was that in professional fees too, or what?
If you look on the next fund, there is a separate auditing services fund, and we have decided to carry that audit service line item into the finance department and get rid of the separate fund.
Okay.
Just because I wasn't
So,
here, or no, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, just because I wasn't here in that, I just wanna, Brady Martz wasn't doing any of our accounting or auditing previously when we didn't catch any of the issues, correct?
They were doing the auditing.
Yeah, they were.
We had the same auditor as the city, the person, for a number of years. the person that we have spoken to had only done it 1 year and had made some suggestions to us at that time that weren't implemented.
I guess my concern, and I'm sure there's others who probably feel this way, is that if that was initially some of our issues was because we weren't catching these things, why would we go back to the same auditing company who?
Yeah, that was gonna be my question.
So it's not Brady Martz, it's the partner that was on our books for an extended amount of time is no longer a partner with Brady Martz. And moving forward, we would be working with the Brady Martz partner who did our 21 audited financials. And she was the one who prepared a lot of recommendations for the city, for the finance department to do, and the finance department was not doing those items completely.
So, understandable, it's a different person, it's still the same company. I mean, are we not able to find another person or another auditing company that can do this type of work?
Didn't we hire a different auditor?
We did. We have a different auditing company now, but because of ethical and responsibilities, they cannot be the ones who audit us and also make suggestions about procedures that we should be using. They can't do that under their own ethics guidelines. So you need somebody else.
I get that. I'm wondering, why does it have to be Brady Marks? Is there no other options?
I will tell you that the number of firms that do that kind of thing is greatly, greatly reduced. We have not put out a request for proposals. Quite frankly, the person that we dealt with last year, we thought was very good and is very perceptive, and I think a valid person to do that. Now, we can put out a request for proposals, but we just budgeted something in here to allow for that.
I guess
So the person.
there's a reason why we left Brady Martz to go to another company, so I mean, whether it was the one person that was doing the audit, I mean, why didn't Brady Martz step in and help us out if they wanted to retain us back then?
I don't understand what you just asked.
I mean, why did we leave Brady Martz and go to a
Because
different
at the
auditing firm?
time, the finance director wanted a change.
Okay.
That's pure and simple.
So we're now saying it wasn't probably the right thing to do?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that the person who did our audit in the last year did a really good job, in my opinion. And I am comfortable that that person would also continue to do a good job in giving us advice.
Go ahead.
Okay. And my question is, if that person did such a good job of providing the information that we needed to go to implementation, we're no better off now than we were a year ago. What are we missing here? How do we not have this happen going forward?
Well, we implement the procedures that are suggested to us. We add the staff that we're proposing here, and we carry forward from this point on.
But we did not do that last year.
We did not.
So I asked this question once before, is there such a thing as a mid-year audit to make sure we're on track so it doesn't all bunch up at the end of the year? Is there such a thing that we can?
Internally, yes, that can be done, sure. And you'll continue to get your sheets showing where we are in expenditures.
But we're already doing that.
Well,
So then at the end of the year, we're in this situation. So I'm wondering, when we talk about how do we prevent this in the future, as of right now, I'm not hearing anything. We're hoping it doesn't happen, but what are we doing that if we could catch something mid-year, say, oh, we're behind on this, we gotta get going. It'll give us more time than what we have now.
Well, there is a way to do that, and that's what we're suggesting, is that when you have procedures in place, you're tracking it. Those procedures weren't in place previously. we think we need advice and guidance in what those procedures should be. We're gonna get an audit that's gonna point out findings. This is what you should be doing. The number of staff that we had couldn't keep up.
So if I'm understanding correctly, I could be wrong, I probably not.
No,
So we would keep the company in Bemidji that's doing our current audit as the state audit? Right?
yes,
Just do it at the end.
100%.
We would add you staff and resources to help there, and this Brady Martz or whoever
Whoever.
would be the person that would be checking in the year or whenever, giving suggestions of where to go into.
They would be on call for our finance director and staff if we had questions, if we perceived, we don't know the answer to this, we don't know how we're doing this. That's not to say we'd use them all the time, but if needed.
But should be monitoring.
Because we gotta dig out of a significant procedural hole. I don't want anybody to misunderstand. Financially, we're good. But it's the processes and procedures that an auditor looks at when they make findings.
I think my question is,
Procedures are definitely needed.
I mean, I guess
so.
my thing is like, I would rather budget higher here and be paying Brady Martz or again, whoever, to be doing a half-year checkup audit instead of us ending up and being a chance of $2 million.
I don't even know if it's about the audit, it's about the implementation of what is being suggested at the end of this current
But how do
audit
we know
that
if
was not
the
implemented
implementation-
this
we got-
last
so
year.
We got implementations, great, but how do we know?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
'Cause you
how
have
is
to
it that we're
Like, I'd rather-
confirming that these things are now
Because you have a
officially
finance director who's gonna do that with the staff.
great, and we thought that was happening last year too. So how do we know as a council,
Well,
and how do
you-
we feel comfortable enough to know that things are getting done like they're
I'm
supposed
the
to?
same thing, because I think our city finances have been blurry for a lot of years. I want to get past that and get to the point that, okay, mid-year, hey, we're on track. By the end of the year, we're on track. And maybe not for the foreseeable future, but and nothing towards you, you're new, but I just want to make sure that we don't get into a situation again where we have to, say, okay, well, this is how we're gonna do it this year, because last year, we didn't do it.
If we change the procedures and monitor it, I think that would be really well
But that was
done.
cool last year.
Well, I think
Not the way it's gonna be
Delane,
done.
the question is, how do we confirm that what is being suggested in the audit is actually being implemented?
Right.
That is the thing that we're needing to know at the end of the day. And we didn't know that last year, which is now, we're here. So what is it we need to do, or how is it that we're able to find this out? Is this something that this third party, not necessarily Brady Marks, but whatever, comes in and then gives us updates quarterly that these suggestions have been implemented appropriately and are going forward? I think that at the end of the day is what we're looking for, to make sure that,
I mean, is that even possible? I mean, is that something that can be done? I mean, is there such a thing? Is quarterly?
What you're
semi-annual?
saying is, are we gonna implement the procedures?
Right.
Absolutely. Now, the answer I wanna tell you is, you got people who are gonna do that. That's trust.
Right.
That maybe isn't good enough. We will have the ability to call on whoever is selected, if needed, to say, you guys are on track. We have people who, I believe, will keep an eye on that.
Well,
Now,
I guess what I'm hearing, Corky, is
was it last
a
year?
real.
I don't think that's
desire-
accurate.
I think,
A desire to
Also-
have, may I speak, please? A desire to have accountability and a transparent format for finding out, what our position is in periods, in quarterly or semi-annual periods.
100%. I mean, we've got a new auditing firm. They are gonna be telling us, when the audit's done, here are the findings we've made. Here are the things you need to do. Yes? Yes. We're telling you, we're gonna implement those. The budget item here is to be able to call on somebody to say, these were the findings that were made, these are the procedures that we recommend, is that what you're gonna do? And then have them come in and say, yep, you did, you implemented that procedure, we gotta follow it through. As Delane said, it's taken a number of years, perhaps decades, to get us where we are now. Now, it's not that we're not financially sound, it's just the procedures on how we got there, we can't describe for you. We can look at a budget line item that says, you have this much money in this fund. We can't track that, how it got there.
So is it possible that, that we consider having a finance committee for the city council?
You can sure do that. Is
I
it,
don't even know if it's about a committee, Tim. I think it's maybe, as I mentioned earlier, that we have somebody come in and say that these things have been suggested, these things have been implemented, and they can confirm it. As much as I'd love to say we should just trust and hope the process is happening, we've done that, and unfortunately, that didn't do as well this last year.
I mean,
So I think council's trying to just confirm that it is not, we're not in the same position we are next year, not understanding that things weren't done the way they should have been done, right?
need to trust
I think
the
at the end of the day,
people that are
we're
doing
responsible
it.
for
If it is the
overseeing
wish of
that.
this council to have a mid-year audit, is that possible?
That is something that we would have to look into.
Could you look into that and let us know by next council meeting?
Yes.
I mean, it just sounds like anything short of hiring someone to stand over their shoulder every day and make sure that the stuff goes, it's not gonna be happy for anybody here.
I mean, I'll
That's
speak-
not true.
I'll speak for myself, Henry. It's not that. And I think you're wonderful, and I think you've stepped into something and you were trying to help and fix, and there's no not trust there, right? I think at least for myself is something has happened. I wasn't there, but if what I'm hearing is you guys were given, the last finance director was given stuff that they were told to do, they didn't implement it. Unfortunately, you're bearing the sins of your forefathers, but now it's on us, or at least myself, to make sure that we make sure it doesn't happen again.
we
So
need
it's
to
nothing
trust
on
the
you, you're
people
doing
that-
great. It's not that we don't trust you, it's now, we didn't make sure that it wasn't happening.
We need to trust the people that are going to be doing the auditing and ask them, make sure they give us reports. If you
Well, listen,
want,
we're
how many
not, none of
how
us
many
here are
reports you want or
professional
not, but.
auditors, and we don't probably
Right.
ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And that's why I
Well,
think if we just go back to something that's quarterly or halfway, I don't think it needs to be a full audit. I think it just needs to be, these were the things that were suggested in the audit. We can confirm they've been implemented and they're going forward the correct way. I think having just key checkpoints, I don't think you need to have someone standing over your shoulder. I think we just need to make sure that we're on track, and whether that's a quarterly thing or a mid-year thing, I think we need to know as council way before the end of the year.
Okay, let's.
And I don't think that's unreasonable. And I don't think that has to do with trust. I think that's just us doing our due diligence.
I don't either. I
And
think
making
that's-
sure things are getting done.
Regarding the 5,000 Brady Marts for kind of paid on call if we need them. This, now they don't work for Brady Marts, correct?
who's they?
Or this person?
She does.
Okay, so.
But we just put in an amount, it doesn't have to be Brady Mart. That's who we've spoken to. We haven't engaged them, we haven't done anything other than to say, would you be available to render to us services that our finance director needed, if we needed it? We just put the
Yeah.
number in.
So, if Brady Mars comes in and suggests things to do, and then,
Well, it'd be our auditing
No.
firm we have.
When the audit comes, it can make findings, it can
Okay.
make suggestions, okay? We have the ability to do those things. What we put this number in for is to say, did we miss anything? How would you implement this finding? What are your suggestions? That's why this number is here. I mean, we can put it up higher if that's necessary, but that was the idea. None of us wanted to be in this position.
right, well, I think we are in this position, and it's up to us to figure out how not to be in it again, and that's why a few of us here are suggesting something where we can be comfortable as council people to report back to our constituents that says, hey, what, they come up to us and say, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm hoping they get it right next year. You know, that's the best we can do. And they're gonna implement it. They told me they're gonna implement the changes, but right now, I can just take your word for it. Instead of getting something that can say in the mid-year, yes, we're on track. Okay, I'm fine with that.
That's why this number's here.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's a budget meeting. It's not going
Yeah.
in depth. We're gonna pay this amount of money to check this out.
I guess my question is, does it need to be higher if we're asking them to do
Right.
a mid-year?
Well, we can certainly
semi-audit?
come back to you later. I mean, we'll put whatever number you want in there, but we can certainly.
Let's budget find out how much it's gonna cost, and let's budget for that, and see if the council's agreeable to that.
Yeah, if there is such a procedure,
Such a procedure.
how much does it cost, what would be involved? And this is the preliminary, we can up, lower, whatever.
And that mid-year audit would be done through Miller McDonald,
Okay,
our
yeah.
current
Our
auditor.
current auditor.
And is that part of the agreement that we already
That
have
is
with
not
them?
part of
No.
the agreement.
I think,
And maybe that's the best way to do it, because they're the ones suggesting the findings, and whoever this other company that we decided to go with, as far as this auditor to implement it, then that McDonald would then be able to see if it's being implemented appropriately or correctly. I think that makes sense.
I just think right now we gotta trust Audrey. I mean, she is knee-deep in crap.
And I don't think it's about trust. I think we're just trying to make sure that we're not getting ourselves in a place, and I don't think it has anything to do with your competency.
it's not- it's
I think
trust
we're just
but
trying to,
verify.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, also, this is a budgetary meeting. It's not about getting into the minutia of absolutely everything. Like, what is it going to cost to do this? Okay, that's what they're asking for in this budget. We're not trying to audit what they're doing right now.
I guess that's what I'm saying, though, is like, it's a budget
That's
meeting,
part
do
of the
they need
question.
more money?
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah. and that's
Because
all.
you're
And that's
asking
what we're
us,
asking is to
you're
have
asking us
that-
to do something that we didn't put this number down to do.
Right.
And we'll be glad to do
I'm
that.
still fine with using Brady Martz, I guess, right now is
We'll just
asking
find
them
out.
the questions that you want to ask, but I'm just wondering if we should put a line in there or add it for the current auditors to do a mid-year.
And that was our very reason for meeting with this auditor.
Yep.
We called her in, spent over an hour saying, could you do this, could you do that? If we have these questions, can you help us? Just to get an idea if it was even such a thing that could be done.
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, we're just looking, when we do see more of a final budget, what that quoted
It'll be
amount
in
from
there.
them would be.
It will 100% be in there.
Great. Can I also ask, Audrey, the 40,000 extra and some change, where do you see that going?
I'm sorry, what line are you?
When you're talking about regular salaries, you upped that, so are you hiring another accountant? How does that look?
So the finance department would consist of, Vance, our payroll clerk, and then 2 accounting positions, the finance director, and, the 38% of the HR coordinator and 10% of the city clerk.
So it's an extra accountant?
Yes.
Okay.
We've discussed that more than either one of us probably want to, but we think to assure you all that we're doing what we need to do, we need another body here.
Yep.
And that's the reason for the proposal. Anything else?
So I asked this one other time, but technology-wise, is there any technology out there would help you do your job better that can be considered? Is there, I mean, are we working on I don't want to go crazy, but are we working on a system for doing our finances that's totally out of date or anything like that? Is it something that, other cities have that's better than us and we probably could be using, that would save man-hours?
Or make your life easier.
Well, and haven't they already talked about the payroll system, which is part of that, right?
One would be the electronic payroll system recording.
Right.
Also, we are looking at, and Chad can help me, but we're in Encode, and there is either to be developed quickly or already developed an Encode 2.0 or.
Yeah, so the two systems that are being discussed would be electronic timekeeping management, which is effectively the electronic payroll system and time cards, time sheets. And then also an upgrade to our ERP, enterprise resource planning or financial system. And what we have in the finance budget for 2024 is a SaaS-based upgraded version of that ERP system.
And just so you understand, we have so many opportunities here that we maybe can't fund them all, but we got a lot of stuff to do.
But I'm just asking if like, you know, if you came from where you came from, you came here and you're like, holy, what am I working with here? I mean, I'm used to working on something so much better, but here it's not. Is that such a thing, or is there something we should be looking at on either the CIP to try to get upgraded over the next few years, or?
Right now, the biggest thing would be the accounting software, the ERP that Chad was just mentioning with Encode. I know Encode isn't quite user-friendly, but again, I haven't had an opportunity to fully look into the upgraded version and how that would.
Is there something that is user-friendly that?
You know, I think that's a tough question to answer because it's not only the finance department that is using our accounting software, it is a lot of multiple departments, and you're not gonna find one software that fits everybody's needs or wants.
So I guess what I'm trying to ask is so not all the cities are working on the same software as what we are.
No.
Is there softwares out there that other cities are using that, you know, it's almost like going from DOS to Windows. Is there something like, you know, is there something that's a great next best thing out there that we should be considering to make our lives easier?
You know,
I mean, I have to tell you, coming to the city council and working on the stuff that I'm like, you know, being in the business environment, I'm coming here and like, I can't believe it, you know, this is how some of it is. But I mean, so that's what I'm asking. Is there something we need to look at to change, whether it be for your department or even for, I guess, for the entire city, I guess?
Again, I haven't had an opportunity to look at the demos for the Encode 10. And again, like I said before, it's gonna have to be where all the departments are looking at all these different software demos to determine what best fits their departments, and then coming together as a whole to pick which software is the best software for all.
So I can quickly jump in if it's all right. So what we have in the 2024 IT budget represents an upgrade, a significant upgrade in my opinion, to the Encode product. Now Encode is one ERP system that's under the parent company Tyler Technologies. Tyler Technologies has a number of different ERP systems. For example, in Chaska, we used a different system also by Tyler Technologies known as Munis. We upgraded from the Encode product line. Since that time that they've done that upgrade, they are now tailoring Encode to be more like their other products. So what we are looking at with the ERP SaaS-based solution is a significantly upgraded Encode product. I can tell you, and I agree with Audrey, that all departments need to take a look at this ERP solution to verify that it does meet their needs and is that technological step forward that they would expect to realize the improvements and the efficiencies that they would like to have within their department. Now, the budgetary figure that we have in the 24 budget represents a significant cost savings because it is an upgrade from the present version of Encode we have. If the department heads as a whole take a look at, or departments, excuse me, as a whole take a look at the Encode product and say, no, this doesn't meet our need, then my suggestion coming back to council would be we put out a broader search to take a look at other ERP solutions. I can tell you that that expense is going to be significantly more costly.
How many different, I mean, if you go to 10 or 20 different cities of our size, are they all operating under similar, like Encode, or is there different?
Encode is certainly one. There isn't a broad spectrum of ERP, so municipal ERP solutions that are out there. However, there are a few. And I was a part of the RFP process when in Chaska we took a look at what was out there. So yes, there are other solutions that we can take a look at. I have suggested to Audrey that we first meet as a group of departments, department heads, take a look at this upgrade that's available, the SaaS-based version of Encode, to see if it does in fact meet our needs. If it does not, then my recommendation would be we put out a broader search and go through an RFP process.
I hope this is a very thoughtful process. I know sometimes we can look at softwares and think, oh, bigger, better, faster, more. And then we get into something and maybe it doesn't have the pain points that Encode does, but now it has a whole another wealth of other pain points that we have. So I really hope that if Encode is not doing what it needs to do, that it's clearly documented with all the departments of what the pain points are and the capacity of them are and what we're looking to do, and making sure that we're making very pointed questions and getting clear answers for whatever the software we choose to do next.
Agreed.
Because that could just put us in a whole world. I don't want us going back to Encode because we just realized that this software didn't work for us, or it's now created more work for us because we didn't thoroughly vet out and make sure that we knew what the capacity and what the limitations were for all the other softwares. I don't know always that something else is always the best answer. I really like the idea of an upgrade before a complete, because it's not even just about a new software, it's about the learning curve, it's about the implementation of all the data you currently have to pushing it to another system. It is so much more complicated, and so it really needs to be a very well thought out process if you're gonna do this.
I agree completely. And even as a part of a review of this upgraded version of Encode, how I would like to proceed, how I recommend we proceed, is to really do a needs assessment across all departments to document that, because that will help us decide if this version of Encode is the right move for us. If it is not, then that becomes the basis of the RFP that we have in a search for different software. But you are absolutely right, Councilmember Jurdy. In my experience, every system has its own pluses and its own minuses, and definitely implementation can vary from system to system. So it's important that we do take a look at it from the perspective of what would work best for the city of Crookston.
And I believe we have the person in that position to give us some good advice, and that you've done a great job so far, so just keep up that good work.
Well, thank you.
I'm just worried about the time lag that would take to implement or update a
time.
database based on us already having, struggling with getting things into the system. So things to really keep in mind as we go forward.
Absolutely true, and I agree.
And we have started that process. It's slow, but we've started.
Okay.
Thanks.
We good?
Thank you, Corky. Thank you, Audrey.
Are we gonna be able to revisit the Park and Rec one? Like, when is that gonna happen?
Well, if you think that's absolutely necessary, it would have to happen at the next meeting, which would be Monday.
Okay.
We're working on putting those numbers together overall to bring to you.
Are we having, the, external, people come in for, like the Golden Lake and the Humane Society and?
At this point, we have not scheduled them to come in. We're just gonna get their applications and take a look at them.
Okay.
And I've only received 2 applications, so if you know somebody who has expressed interest, please
Is there a
send them a
due date?
reminder that it's due on the 13th.
Yep. And that's been out on the radio, on the website, on the Facebook page.
But, I mean,
Now we've sent that to everybody that we've sent it to in the past?
Yes, and I personally called all the applicants who received grant funds last year, this year.
Yeah,
That's
so we
all.
thought we'd do that internally, look at them, plug them into the budget for the ones that we thought would be appropriate, and bring that to you all with our next proposal, or we'll come and say, we put them all in here, here's what it is, it's a levy increase of 8, 20, 100, whatever, and then have you express, generally speaking, your priorities.
So according to the timeline, then, we have to have a projected levy figure by the end of September. Is that correct?
Correct.
So is that essentially our next full council meeting that we
To see the
discuss
figures
that?
we brought back, take a look at
Okay.
them, give us your thoughts, and then we come back the next one after that, special meeting, and go, here's what we've tried to do to get within those parameters. We're looking for you to give us a levy increase that you are comfortable with preliminarily. Not line items, but we're comfortable with 38%, we're comfortable with 2%.
And the list of your 3 or 5 top priorities, because a lot of our departments have requested big wants, and we'd like to have some direction as to what you guys would like to see stay in the budget while we whittle down to meet your preliminary levy
Budget.
percentage.
I mean, so how do we quantify what everybody's
Top priorities.
Well, you
top
don't-
priorities are?
You don't have to quantify, what we're saying is, let's just say you want a marketing coordinator, that's my number 1 priority, marketing coordinator. Number 2, I want to see sidewalks repaired better, whatever. Give us really 3, if you could. So we can work those in, and then say, we're comfortable with this amount of levy increase.
So Corky, just to confirm here, so we have Ways and Means next week, and then we have City Council on the 25th. Is there going to be an additional meeting to that prior to the 30th?
I think there will be, but we just need to, really next week is really, really, really important. There may very well be a meeting, another
So
one.
Do we have to have the audit finished before we do the levy?
Well, we hope so. I mean, we hope we get it finished before then. And ideally, yes, you'd like that, but given this unique situation, we gotta proceed ahead.
Have we heard anything back from the audit since last time?
Audrey.
Or the auditors?
The auditors have provided us with a few questions that we need to provide some more details for them to finish our audit. In terms of a deadline or date to get that audit back, that has not been spelled out or provided.
But they're very aware of the deadline. They got a copy of the letter from the state that we received, setting forth the potential consequences of not. And we are on them, let's say. They know, and we've made it very clear, and they know.
Okay, we good?
Yeah.
All right, thank you,
Thanks,
Audrey.
everyone.
Thank you, Corky. We are adjourned.